Hello, members of the vinyl community. Tony P coming at you from the basement de la Casa de Perla, where all good things happen, where the Queen says the magic happens. Yeah, well, that magic's disappearing. Hey, it's been a while, I know. More than a New York minute. Baseball season, we're slowly getting to the end of our Little League season. Playoffs are coming, so, I haven't had a lot of time. 2 grandkids, on the team and so on, travel ball and a little bit on the side there. So it's been pretty tough. But I've always kept thinking about what can I do to talk about some vinyl. Now, you know that I like Linda Ronstadt. You guys know that. And I like that California sound that she started. Well, I wouldn't say she started, but was a part of the Eagles and so on. But there was a band that preceded them a little bit that came out of the flames of the Buffalo Springfield. When the Buffalo Springfield dissolved back in 1968, you had 2 guys, Richie Furay and Jim Messina. They get together along with Rusty Young. They get together with Meisner. What the hell was Meisner's first name? Randy Meisner and George Grantham. They got together and decided to have a band, and they were going to be called Pogo. Well, the comic strip people didn't quite like that idea of them having the same name as a comic strip character. So the band decided to call themselves Poco. And that hence the title, Un Poco de Poco. In Italian, it's a small of Poco. A little bit of a Poco. Okay? Italian lesson number 1. And I don't have all the albums. I got them through thrift stores, through some VCLT. I think I have 7 of them. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of them. 7 of them. And they're the ones that I like. And like a lot of the bands at that time, members come, members go. Meisner quits after they start recording the first album, Picking Up the Pieces. I think that was 1969, maybe, their debut album. He gets replaced by Tim Schmidt. Who else leaves? Richie Furay leaves. No, no. Am I right? Meisner is replaced by Tim Schmidt. Meisner leaves first. Then Messina leaves after him, and he's replaced by Paul Cotton. I was getting my memories mixed up there a little bit. And Rusty Young will be the only constant in that band while there's a revolving door with other members. Now, what's nice about this band, it sprouts other bands that you know of. Out of Poco comes, of course, Loggins and Messina, the Eagles, Southner, Hillman Furay Band, and of course the Sky Kings, which, if you're from the product of the 50s and 60s, you know who Sky King was. Raise your hand if you know who Sky King was. And his daughter Penny. What was the name of the airplane that he flew? Put it down in the comments. Ha ha ha. See if you know that one. But I digress. Let's look at the albums I have. There's not a ranking. These are just what came out in what year and how much I love them. And we'll go from here. The first album I have is Poco, A Good Feeling to Know. And the title track of this was probably the best. This is their 4th studio album. The title track, of course, is the most recognizable. It didn't do well commercially. Richie Furay does leave the band. He leaves after this album and before the 1973 album, which was Crazy Eyes, I think. So, if you want to get a good listening of Poco, if you can find this album, A Good Feeling to Know. Beautiful, beautiful album. Love it. Next one that I have is, I think this is Poco 7. Now, this, if I had to say which one's my best, I have to say this one is my favorite album. Now, I found this at a flea market. And the thing that bugs me the most when I play this, on the very last track on side 2, there is a deformity. It's not a scratch. It actually looks like, I don't want to say a pinhole, but it almost looks like that, and there's a skip on the last one. I've been trying to work on it, fix it, but to no avail. This came out in 1974. This is called Poco 7. If you don't find A Good Feeling to Know, Poco 7 is fantastic. Love it. This is the first album without Richie Furay in it. So the cover is designed by Phil Hartman of Saturday Night Live fame. Now, he'll do another one that you probably recognize more than the horseshoe in the name of Poco. Now, this one's a little bit of a harder rock than country. It's quite good. The two that I like on here is called Driving Wheel and Rocky Mountain Breakdown. Those are really great songs. But Poco, 1974, Poco 7. This is the one, if you can't find A Good Feeling to Know, you see this one, pick this one up. It's good. In 1975, there's the band in 1975, of course. This is Head Over Heels. Now, this is the first one on ABC Records. Great harmonies. This is the first record where Rusty Young has lead vocals. Remember, Furay leaves. So Rusty Young. There's also a recording of Dallas by Steely Dan on this. Less country, more pop. The noted song on here is Keep On Trying. Head Over Heels. Not a bad album. A good album. Not as good as maybe these other two that I showed you. But this one's good. This next one is a nice one. There's no title. It's the same. This is, again, ABC Records. This is 1976. This is Rose of Cimarron. Rose of Cimarron. Ninth studio album. They get a new member, Al Garth, plays on this. He comes from Loggins and Messina. Even though you won't find his name on this album, he is credited playing on 7 of the 10 tracks in here. Rose of Cimarron, the song becomes a staple when they go on tour. I think even Emmylou Harris does a good cover of it. Now, what hurts this album, ABC releases Poco Live a month before this release, and it sort of screwed up the sales a little bit. That's not a bad album either. Rose of Cimarron, not a bad album either. Now, I'm sure this is Legend, the one with the horse. I'm sure this is the Phil Hartman cover that's probably more noted than the other one with the horseshoe and the Poco in it. This is their 11th studio album. The biggest hit on here is Crazy Love. That's probably the one you know besides the other one, A Good Feeling to Know. Heart of the Night is another one that's good. But ABC, well, to prelude this one a little bit, 1977, ABC cancels their 1977 release of an album. And who leaves? Rusty Young and Paul Cotton leave. This is 77. This came out in 78. Paul Cotton and Rusty Young leave. They do very well. They cut an album. So in 1977, when ABC refuses to release an album of theirs, they sort of go on strike a little bit. They refuse to go on any tours. They refuse to go on any do any recordings, any studio time. They refuse to do that. Well, they get back together and they released their 77 album, which was this album, Legends. Even though, you know, Rusty Young and Paul Cotton go away. and then they come back, and then they record Legend. Crazy Love gets released as a single, and again, another good album. That California sound. Don't forget that California sound. The last album I have is kind of a strange, well, it's not a strange album, but it's kind of different. It's a theme album. This is a 1981 release. This is called Blue and Gray. And it's a studio album. It's theme-based, based on Civil War songs. Widowmaker on here is probably a minor hit. Great playing, great harmonization. This is an album where Paul Cotton and Rusty Young really show their stuff. It's called The Blue and the Gray, Poco, 1981. That's all I have of theirs. I just thought I'd show this. That's why it's called Poco de Poco. But I think these guys were the beginning of that California, Southern California folk rock, country rock sound. They get no notoriety. Not one vote, not one nomination for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's what bugs me about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Here's a band that I consider the start of that country rock sound that, you know, sprouted the Eagles and sprouted Linda Ronstadt even to an extent. And all those other ones, Loggins and Messina and Southern Hillman Fury Band. Souther, who was, by the way, Linda Ronstadt's boyfriend. I don't know if it was at that time. I don't know. So, hey, I came back. This has gone 12 minutes. I don't usually like to keep them this long, 10 minutes. I will have another one out there for you as soon as I can. But this was Poco de Poco, all I had. If I find some more, I'll get them, talk about them. So, this is T signing off from the basement, the Casa de Perla. May all your records be flat. May your stylus run true. Whoop-de-doo for your Subaru. And, hey, see ya.